Howdy folks, and welcome back to World of Warships with Rear Admiral Jingles. By the time we get to the end of this battle, some of you may be experiencing a sense of deja vu. This is the battle that yesterday's battle results screen belonged to. This is very fun in the French Tier 10 extremely heavy cruiser, the Henri IV. Armed with 9 240mm guns and with a top speed of 35 knots, although it also comes with an engine boost consumable, and if you run that with a speed flag, this is a cruiser that will do speeds in excess of 40 knots. That heavy firepower and incredible speed makes this ship absolutely ideal at working its way out onto the flanks and delivering crushing amounts of firepower. And that is pretty much exactly what Furry Fun is going to be doing for the first half of this battle. Despite the fact that by design this ship kind of works best in situations where you've deliberately overextended, for some reason Furry Fun is going to be allowed pretty much free rein to do as he sees fit without too much in the way of interference from the enemy team. That's the good news. The bad news is that because this is a tier 10 ranked battle, there are only 8 ships per team, and one of the ships on Furry Fun's team is 100% AFK right from the start of the battle. The friendly Shimakaze has loaded into the match, and that is the sum total of his entire contribution for the rest of this battle. And that's a significantly bigger problem in ranked when you only have 8 team members to begin with than in a random battle where you have 12. Starting with 11 out of 12 isn't ideal, but it's better than starting with 7 out of 8. For the majority of the first half of this battle, I'm simply going to be showing you the edited highlights, because, well, like I said, for some strange reason, Furry Fun pretty much, almost entirely by himself, occupies the flank out here, although he does get some invaluable support and assistance from the team's Yamato later on, and the enemy team mostly kind of leave him to it for no good reason that I can determine. It's not that there aren't any enemy ships trying to work their way up the flank and catch his teammates in a crossfire. There absolutely are, but they all mostly seem to have better things to do than shoot at Furry Fun's Henri. And on those few occasions when some of them decide, you know what, that French bastard up there is being a real pain in the arse, I'm going to take a shot at him, they either miss or they inflict very little damage. Starting the game down one Shimakaze was bad enough, but their team have just suffered the first casualty of the match, and it's the Z-52 who rushed for the southern cap right at the start of the match, telegraphing his location to the enemy Des Moines, who exposed him with radar and picked him off pretty easily. Oh, and in case it wasn't already apparent from looking at the team lists, the enemy team have a radar, and Furry Fun's team do not. Although, given that the only surviving and active destroyer on the team is a Kleber, which doesn't run with the smokescreen anyway, he's probably not that concerned about it. But while you might think that, well, if the only active and surviving destroyer on the team is a Kleber, you probably shouldn't expect the team to be taking any caps anytime soon. But knowing that the Des Moines has used his radar to kill the Z-52, the Kleber has in fact taken one of the cap circles. And having accomplished that, he's now getting the hell out of there at great speed. An example that the friendly Bourgogne would do well to follow, and in fact the team are telling him, Bourgogne, get back. Very good advice, considering he's charging face first straight into a Z-52, gearing that Des Moines and the enemy Yamato, but he's determined to keep pushing on. It's here where we get a couple of quick plot twists, because it turns out the team does actually have a radar cruiser after all. One of the Minotaurs is in fact a Minotaur, and his radar has exposed the Z-52. The Kleber, on his way out, also deposited a couple of torpedoes into the smokescreen that you can see over there, and killed the enemy gearing. The gearing is actually the second enemy destroyer to die, with the Smolensk picking off the enemy Harugamo just a couple of minutes earlier. Unfortunately, despite the Minotaur's radar, the team are unable to finish off that Z-52. That, and the presence of the Des Moines and the Yamato, are going to be extremely bad news for the Bourgogne, who, despite his team's advice, is continuing to push forward into almost certain destruction. Meanwhile, out here on the flank, some of the enemy ships are actually starting to take a bit of an interest in Furry Fun. And things are actually starting to get a little bit uncomfortable for him, but you saw some shots coming in from the flank there. That's the assistance of the friendly Yamato. Up until this point, Furry Fun has pretty much been holding off the attentions of the enemy Conqueror, Minotaur, and Henri all by himself. And he has been doing a pretty good job of it. Just kiting, harassing, staying alive, and preventing them from working their way up this flank, catching the rest of his team in a crossfire. Of course, while he's been doing that, it should come as no surprise to anybody that the team have in fact lost the Bourgogne. 2 kills per team, although bearing in mind that this team started down a Shimakaze, that actually puts the enemy ahead. 1 useful ship. And just to add insult to injury, the cap circle that the Kleber took at great personal risk to himself is now being flipped by the enemy as well. There's a particularly violent exchange of fire across the middle of the map, which takes out the enemy Henri. Unfortunately, it also takes out the friendly Smolensk. Potentially a bit of a good news, bad news situation for Furry Fun. On the one hand, the Henri isn't shooting at him anymore, but on the other hand, with the Smolensk dead, who's the Conqueror going to start shooting at? Well, at least Furry Fun isn't alone over here anymore. The friendly Yamato has turned up. As Furry Fun continues to rain fire down on the Conqueror, who's burning merrily, but, well, it's a Conqueror, its damaged repair party consumable is almost capable of churning out a fresh ship, and it can heal back 100% of any fire damage. With the Yamato slightly to the south caught in the middle of a turn, perhaps the Conqueror is going to load the armour piercing and have a go at the Yamato. The Yamato is certainly wasting no time having a go at the Conqueror. Quite successfully too. You'll note that Furry Fun doesn't have the priority target skill, but he does have the incoming fire alert. So he doesn't actually know, until the Conqueror fires, that the Conqueror is actually firing at him. But he's got the engine boost going, and he's so fast that the Conqueror shells mostly fall short. That's when he spots the Minotaur down to the south, who beat a hasty retreat earlier. He had the armour piercing loaded. He takes a brief punt in the Minotaur's direction and is rewarded with a couple of penetrations, but disappointingly it's only around about 3,000 damage. The Conqueror is still burning quite fiercely. There's a brief moment of comedy over in the middle of the map as the friendly radar Minotaur is begging the Kleber for a smokescreen and has to be reminded that it's a Kleber and it doesn't have a smokescreen. The AFK Shimakaze has been put out of his misery by the Des Moines, who's working his way up to the north. And then a couple of opportunities present themselves at around about exactly the same time. The Des Moines just took a couple of torpedoes either from the Kleber or the Minotaur, I'm not sure who, and is ripe for the killing. And I don't know if you caught it, but thanks to the tender attentions of both the Yamato and Furry Fun here, the Conqueror to the rear was left on just under 5,000 health. So there's an opportunity here to get 2 enemy ships taken care of. Predictably, of course, with Furry Fun occupied with the Des Moines, and the Yamato having just fired, the Conqueror picks that exact moment to start printing himself a new ship, and the Des Moines, fully aware that he's about to die, starts hugging an island like it's going out of fashion. And it's at this moment where Furry Fun's life flashes before his eyes as the Yamato opens up on his broadside at a range that is far too close for comfort. Luckily, he rolled a natural 20, took almost no damage, and lives to tell the tale. But of his 3 surviving teammates, 2 of them are on such low health that they could be finished off at any time. Furry Fun's taking a bit of a gamble. He knows he can kill the Des Moines. Somebody with a large caliber gun just targeted him. There's the Des Moines radar. Can he get around the corner and get the island between him and the Yamato and finish off the Des Moines before the Yamato gets the opportunity to take a shot at him? Disappointingly, that first salvo wasn't enough to kill the Des Moines, but the second salvo will be, and there's the high caliber award with 124,000 damage done. Now he can't see the Yamato, but he can see the Yamato spotter plane, which gives him some idea of where the Yamato might be. Unfortunately, the spotter plane is also giving the Yamato a very precise idea of exactly where Furry Fun is. And then he's surface spotted, clenching his butt cheeks. In expectation that it was the Yamato, he's extremely surprised to find that it was actually the Minotaur. Of course, the Yamato hoves into view around the corner at almost exactly the same time, and isn't actually pointing or firing his guns at Furry Fun, although surely it's only a matter of time. bearing this in mind, it's perhaps not unsurprising that instead of shooting at the Yamato, Furry Fun goes for the target that possibly he can actually kill. Since he has the armor piercing loaded and it is extremely high caliber for a cruiser, he unloads another salvo with the Minotaur. And this time, doesn't kill him, but does get a Citadel. For some reason, the Yamato is still not even aiming at Furry Fun, although that situation is very quickly about to change. Although far too late for the Yamato's very slow-turning turrets to do much about it, Furry Fun's managed to get his torpedoes away. The Yamato's rear turret is going to get to fire, but even the Yamato's guns can't penetrate a thick armor belt at that kind of angle. Furry Fun steams on by. The Yamato can't swing the guns around fast enough to shoot him again, and assisted by the friendly Yamato, who's finally managed to put the enemy Conqueror on the bottom, Furry Fun takes care of the Yamato and secures his second kill. In all that excitement, both teams are now down to 2 ships each. Furry Fun's team have lost the Kleber and the Minotaur, leaving just Furry Fun in the Henri, and the friendly Yamato, who has taken a couple of torpedoes from the surviving Z-52 on the enemy team, but has just bitch-slapped the bejesus out of the enemy Minotaur, leaving the enemy team with just that one Z-52 remaining. However, while the enemy team may be down to just 1 ship, it is a destroyer. They only have a rough idea of where he might be. Only one of them has hydro, and only has 1 charge of that left. Neither of them have radar, and that one destroyer is way ahead on points, more than 300 points ahead. The Minotaur, who just died, is offering some extremely good advice in chat. Get that other cap circle. His initial idea was that Furry Fun should just forget about the cap circle that he's in and power through to the one to the south and let the Yamato take this cap circle, but Furry Fun's almost done it anyway. The Yamato's agreeing to the plan anyway, and he's heading over in this direction. And there's the Z-52. Did he just shoot at the Yamato, or did the Yamato spotter plane detect him? I think it must have been the Yamato spotter plane. Possibly the Z-52 didn't have his AA guns turned off, but you can kind of see the Yamato's problem here. He's a very big and a very obvious target, and the Z-52 has very fast reloading torpedoes. It takes around 1.5 minutes for the Z-52 to reload its torpedo tubes, so the Yamato is actually in a lot of trouble. Furry Fun has a really tough decision to make here. You want to stick with the Yamato, because 2 sets of eyes are better than 1, and Furry Fun has hydro, the Yamato doesn't. But at the same time, if you don't flip these cap circles, that Z-52 is going to win on points. In fact, with a more than 300 point lead, even if he does flip both of the cap circles, the Z-52 may still win on points. There may not be enough time left in this match to make up the difference in the scores. In which case, abandoning the Yamato to the tender attentions of the Z-52 might end up being the worst thing that he could do. Oh, he's been spotted. So, well, he does at least, well, it doesn't really tell him much. It lets him know that the Z-52 is in line of sight and he's outside of detection range, but other than that, maybe there are some torpedoes on the way. The Z-52 can't see him anymore. Might be a good idea to just loiter around the side of this island and wait for the cap to happen. You can see from the little mod counter at the top of the screen that it's going to take well over 8 minutes for the team to accumulate enough points to win with only 1 cap under their control, and there's less than 5 minutes of this game left, so clearly that's not going to do. The Z-52 continues to harass the Yamato with his torpedoes, and gets spotted again, but not long enough for the Yamato to be able to do anything about it. Let's see what happens when the team have 2 caps under their control. It's still not going to be enough. There isn't enough time remaining, even with 2 caps under their control, for the team to win on points before the timer expires and the Z-52 wins. They're going to have to catch him and kill him. And realistically, yes, Akazuki, I know. Exactly, yes. The Z-52 does hold all of the cards. Yeah, I know. And for an Henri and a Yamato to catch and kill a Z-52 that doesn't want to be caught and killed, yes, that's right, Akazuki. The Z-52 is going to have to do something incredibly stupid. I'm so proud of that cat. Not even 1 year old, and she's already a better grasp of tactics than most of the players in this match. Then again, maybe they can do it, because that counter at the top of the screen is telling us how long it takes this team to reach 1,000 points, which they can't do by the end of the match, but they don't have to reach 1,000 points, they just have to get more points than the enemy team. Which would have meant 868 points, but the Yamato kind of inevitably, and without anybody around to detect torpedoes for him, it really was just a matter of time, did in fact succumb to torpedo attack from the Z-52. So now Very Fun doesn't have to reach 868 points before the end of the match. Now he has to reach 908 points before the end of the match. And with the amount of time remaining in this match, that just isn't possible. So now he must find and kill the Z-52 in order to win, and we have a rough idea of where he might be thanks to the smoke screen that we just saw dissipating on the other side of the island. But equally, the Z-52 now should be fully aware that all he has to do to win is run away for the next 3 minutes. And while an Henri with a full head of steam, a speed flag and the engine boost is pretty quick, the Z-52 isn't exactly slow, and if he's running his engine boost and a speed flag, and he had a head start, there is no reason why he can't do that. So fast though he may be, realistically the only way Furry Fun stands a chance of winning this battle is if the Z-52 does something incredibly stupid. Like, for example, instead of getting out of here while the getting was good, sticking around and trying to pick a fight. A fight which he might have won if he'd gotten lucky with his torpedoes, but he didn't, and a fight that he was never going to win if it came down to guns, and a fight which he absolutely would have won if he'd avoided it entirely and just gotten the hell out of Dodge, something that even a kitten a week short of her first birthday knew was the best thing to do. Yes, Akazuki, you are a very clever girl. All of which brings us to the end of today's video, which coincidentally is the same as the end of yesterday's video, because this time at least I've managed to get the correct end battle result screens. Congratulations Furry Fun, well done on your win. Commiserations and congratulations to the Yamato, who totally deserved the win but unfortunately didn't live to see it. For everyone else, I hope you enjoyed watching it, and as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.